So, you think owning property is fun? Well, what I just showed you are 3 checkbooks and 50 tax bills, um, and lots of checks flying out the door. So, why am I sharing this? Well, um, it's so important to have, for so many reasons, it's so important to have some type of financial controls on what you're investing in and what you're spending. I had just found that there are 4 so far, 4 properties so far that have been so completely over-assessed that I now have to go in and do a dispute the value of the property. In 2 cases, as a matter of fact, in 2 cases, I have judges' orders saying what the current values are, but the county has a completely different valuation. So in that dispute, I will include a copy of that judge's order. I will include a copy of an appraisal. That will make adjustments downward. That will be sufficient pressure in order for the county to comply with being able to reduce the amount of the annual tax bill. So I will be disputing, I believe, so far maybe 7 of them, 2 of which I know are, if you will, in the bag. Not great ones. 1, killer. My taxes went from, let me show you. You are going to flip because I flipped. Let me show you here. Oh my goodness, where is this one? Let's see, I drew arrows on it. If this is the one. No, this is not the one. This is the one. Okay. I'll show you this. Okay. So prior year tax bill was $229. This year's tax bill, $3,604. Well, my taxes went up 15, 18 times in 1 year. Are you serious? Prior year, current year. So now what do you do about that? It's a really great question. So I've prepared for this many times. 3 years ago it was. I had 38 tax bills that needed to be paid. And so I created a tax dispute package. So what's a tax dispute package? A tax dispute package, the document that I created is probably somewhere around 13 to 15 pages of supportive documentation and proof and evidence about the current condition and valuation of the property based upon several factors. And I'm not going to give you that secret mix, but what I will do, I'll sprinkle it a little bit, because the real secret mix I can't share. If you want to privately call me or text me or email me, I'll share it that way, but not here. But I look at factors such as value. I look at factors such as condition. I look at values such as livability, habitability, is it rented? I look at all these factors, and thankfully, all the properties with a building on them are rented, are cash flowing, and thankfully doing well. So I have the ability to pay all of these property taxes, and I don't feel bad about it. Like, I don't feel bad about having to write 50 checks. I may have to go through 1 or 2 pens, but big deal. What's a pen? $1? And so I really don't feel bad about it. I'm very grateful that I can do what I'm doing inside this county, that I'm accomplishing what I'm accomplishing inside this and other counties and other locations. And the gift of being able to pay money means I'm doing well and I can afford to pay it. And so now, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm just going to agree to a number that the county says this property is worth. Hell no. if you look at it, there was a poster years ago that showed 3 houses. The way the seller, 4 houses, the way the seller viewed their home from a tax perspective, which you can imagine was tiny, the way the buyer viewed that same home from their perspective as big tax, how the county views it as, image of police and fire and government and all these other things that keep government flowing, and the importance of course, paying property tax, and how a bank looks at it. A bank, of course, looks at it as monstrous, right? So if you're going to get a mortgage, it's a big number, a lot of expenses. Any financial transaction regarding a purchase or refinance is probably going to end up touching at least 13, if not 17 different people or entities, from appraisers and tax office and the assessor, to repairmen, to the realtor on one side, the realtor on another side, the mortgage guy, the appraiser, the insurance guy, the lender, all the lender support people, title, attorneys. Imagine one transaction has many, many moving parts and cogs in the wheel that add their fee to it. And so I think it's imperative as an investor, we've got to be fiscally responsible to manage these taxes, because government, I love this country, but man, oh man, people that work in government, they are not entrepreneurs. They are not investors. They're folks that get a paycheck. Last time I had a paycheck, I think, was during the 1984 baseball strike in Chicago, if I have my dates right. And I worked at the Gap clothing store, and I got a paycheck. I was like, "Are you kidding me? I worked a week, and this is what I got? I usually make this in an afternoon." And anyway, I'm sharing this all with you because, it's a sight, right? And it happens every year. So if you're thinking about owning property, make sure you learn how to buy it right, because Uncle Sam, that son of a gun, he's going to get in your pocket one way, shape, or form. Government's going to come in and they're going to take a piece of your profit. They're going to recalculate and reassess the tax value on your property. If you look to do some financial transaction where you're putting it into a trust and taking it out of a trust and putting it in an LLC and moving it in another LLC, what a lot of these LLC gurus that you see on YouTube all the time won't tell you is that every single time that you move your property, you are going to be subject to a reassessment, which means that unless you become friends, or at least the assessor's office and the treasury's office can tolerate you, or, and that you're not necessarily on a first name basis, but you know who to call when there's a problem, your property is going to be reassessed, even though it's a $0 transaction. That's a big deal. I had one piece that was assessed. I moved it from company A to company B, and I got penalized $11,000. And it was a mistake, an expensive learning mistake. And when I questioned it, they're like, "You should know better. This is what your business is." And they whacked me with a penalty. I even had my attorney there. So believe me when I'm telling you, you don't want to make that mistake. That was a dumb one on my part. Now, when I'm moving properties within different entities, I'm making a phone call. I'm saying, okay, I'm moving property A with this tax ID number, or this, PIN number, or, whatever you call it in your state. I'm moving that. It's a $0 transaction. I need the necessary forms and papers to make sure that you do not reassess my property is a no-dollar transfer. Because what otherwise will happen is you are going to get a whack. And if you have a mortgage on your property, guess what's going to happen? Your escrow. You're going to get an escrow call to say, hey, guess what, Mr. Property Owner? You need to write us a check for $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 to shore up the escrow shortage. And now you're chasing your tail. You're chasing your tail. And you didn't do it in advance. So what I do in advance, if I'm moving properties from entity to entity, I'm making a phone call. I'm driving there, number one. Number two, I'm looking at everything that I can do within the confines of the rules of the game, and I like pushing the rules of the game. You got to, is come up with alternative ways in which to lower my taxes. If my tax went from $228 last year, $229.13 to $3,604.22 for this year, right? Last year, $229. This year, $3,600. Really? Really? Are you kidding me? So I've got to get into action. No problem. I have the structures in place, the systems in place. If you have a property that you think is overtaxed, text me. I'll walk you through how to reduce your property taxes. Save you a ton of money. I promise. It works. What I didn't finish, and I'll leave you with this, is 3 years ago, I disputed 38 pieces. I won all 38. My largest tax reduction was 87%. I got an 87% tax reduction on a property that is worth about $400,000. And it took something, but I got it done. So you can do it too. Thanks for hanging in there on this video. I hope you got something on how to deal with property taxes moving forward. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.